Today, Worcester is a peaceful city. Well, mostly, apart from McDonald's on a Friday night. But 371 years ago, it was the stage for one of the most important battles in English history. This is the Battle of Worcester. So what events led to the battle taking place here? In 1626, on the 2nd of February, Charles I was crowned king. His rule was not looked on favourably by the people or Parliament. This was due to his hunger for power, which saw him dissolve Parliament and bring in a tax known as ship money. This tax was supposed to only be imposed when the country was in danger on places by the coast, so that the navy could protect them. But this tax was also imposed on places inland, which didn't make much sense, especially as England wasn't in danger from foreign adversaries at the time. This was done so the king could raise money for wars overseas. King Charles would also marry a Catholic princess, Henrietta Maria of France, as well as supporting certain practices which made the people who were mainly Puritans think he was reverting the country back towards being Catholic. As well as this, the Archbishop of Canterbury, the king appointed William Laud, then introduced Catholic practices into the Protestant church. This too made the Puritans very pissed off. The combination of these would spiral into the British Civil Wars starting in 1642. After much fighting, the king was eventually arrested in 1646 and later decapitated in 1649 for treason. This would then lead to his son Charles II being crowned king by the Scots on January 1st, 1651. He would then lead his army south towards London to regain the throne and arrive in Worcester on the 22nd of August. He would then let his army rest while strengthening its numbers and the city's defences, using Commandery here as his base for operations. The battle that followed would be between the Royalists, also known as Cavaliers, with 14,000 men, believing the country should be ruled by the king. The Parliamentarians, led by Oliver Cromwell, also known as Roundheads, with 28,000 men, believing that it should be run by the people through government. This was a battle between tyranny and democracy. The result would change England forever. On the 27th of August, to stop Parliamentarians from crossing the River Severn, King Charles had the bridge at Opton, 9 miles south of Worcester, destroyed. However, they didn't manage this successfully, and Parliamentarian troops led by Major General Lambert would make their way into Opton. After the fighting, the Royalists were forced to retreat. Their plan was now to hold Powick Bridge. On the 3rd of September, the Battle of Worcester would start. Troops led by Fleetwood would make bridges of boats further up the River Severn, as well as the River Thames, and attack the Royalist forces to the west. Now the Parliamentarians were engaging the Royalists from two different directions, as they fired cannons from Redhill and Perrywood. General Richard Dean would lead troops trying to cross the bridge at Powick, but was unsuccessful. Fleetwood and his men would now be in the heat of battle. It's hard to imagine what it must have been like, with most men on both sides, equipped with little to no armour, in open fields being fired upon by muskets and charged by cavalry. Cromwell, on the east side of the river, seeing the struggle Fleetwood was having, would then send more men to help. This then allowed Fleetwood to make another bridge over the River Thames and able to attack the Royalist forces from behind Powick. This then led to the Royalists retreating towards the city bridge. King Charles would see these events unfold from the top of Worcester Cathedral and would send his men from Worcester to attack the Parliamentarians at Redhill and Perrywood. Doing so, they managed to gain ground and occupy Cromwell's cannons. But this success didn't last very long. As Cromwell became aware of the issue happening on the east side of the river, he would send men over the boat bridges to help. Due to the overwhelming number of Parliamentarians compared to the Royalists, they managed to defend their ground and push them back into the city. The Parliamentarians would then take Fort Royal, where I'm standing now, and occupy the cannons, turning them on the city itself. There was now no hope for a Royalist victory. Charles, knowing this, would make his way through the King Charles House and then St. Martin's Gate, named this after he used it to escape. The results of the battle were 3,000 Royalists killed and 10,000 captured. The losses for the Parliamentarians only 200. Now Charles would seek refuge in France. The outcome's a vital moment in the development of democracy, and if the results were different, the world might be unlike today's.